You weren't even looking for anything. You opened your phone to check the time, and 40 minutes later, you set it down feeling worse about your entire life, and you couldn't explain to a single person why. Nothing happened. Nobody insulted you. You just saw a few people you barely know living a few moments that probably weren't even real. And something in your chest went quiet and heavy. You'll call it tiredness. You'll call it a bad day, but you know the actual name for it. You just don't like saying it out loud. Here's the part nobody talks about. You don't compare yourself once. You do it constantly, in the background, like a program you forgot was running. You see someone's new car, and a tiny voice does the math on yours. You see someone's relationship, and you glance sideways at your own. Someone your age hits something you haven't, and for a second, your whole life feels late. You tell yourself you've made peace with your path, that you're running your own race, but you keep checking the other lanes. You keep peeking at the scoreboard. And the cruel part is this: the scoreboard isn't even real. You're comparing your behind the scenes, the doubt, the rent, the 2 a.m. ceiling staring, to someone else's highlight reel, their best angle, their best 10 seconds out of a year you'll never see. You're losing a game where the other player isn't even playing. You built the stadium. You set the rules. You handed yourself the losing score, and you do it about the things that matter most. The things you can't change in an afternoon. You don't compare your grocery list. You compare your face, your age, your bank account, how far along you are, whether you have the partner, the house, the title, the body, the calm. You aim the comparison straight at the parts of your life that take years to move, and then you wonder why one scroll can flatten a whole evening. That's not an information problem. That's a measuring problem, and Stoicism is going to call you out on it. Calmly, the way a friend does when they respect you too much to lie. This channel doesn't do quote dumps. We don't stack Marcus Aurelius lines on top of sunsets and call it wisdom. We use Stoicism the way it was actually meant to be used, as a tool for people living real, messy, modern lives, holding a phone that's very good at making them feel small. If you're tired of measuring your life against people you've never met, if you want your sense of worth back from the strangers you handed it to, that's what we're building here. Subscribe and stay. Now let's get into why this happens and how you walk out of it. Most people believe comparison is useful, that a little of it keeps you sharp, that it tells you where you stand. It doesn't. Comparison doesn't tell you where you stand. It tells you where you stand next to a person who doesn't exist, a stitched-together character made of everyone's best moments. The richest guy's income, the fittest guy's body, the happiest couple's vacation. You stack them into one impossible human and then ask yourself why you don't measure up. You were never going to measure up. Nobody is. The character was built to be unbeatable. Think about what you're actually doing when you compare. You take one slice of your life and hold it against a different person's strongest slice. Your career against the one friend who's crushing it at work. Your relationship against the couple who looks happiest. Your body against the one person at the gym who clearly lives there. You'd never let anyone else grade you that way. Taking your single weakest moment and lining it up against 10 different people's single best. But you do it to yourself before breakfast. And here's the other lie buried in there. We tell ourselves comparison is what drives us, that without it, we'd go soft. But look closely at what comparison actually produces in you. Not action, paralysis. You don't finish the project. You abandon it because someone already did it better. You don't start because the gap looks too wide. You don't post the thing, ask for the raise, send the message because some imaginary jury already ranked you and you lost. Comparison doesn't light a fire under you. It convinces you the fire was always for someone else. So here's the idea the Stoics built their entire lives around. Plain English first. Some things are up to you. Most things are not. Your effort is yours. Your attention is yours. The way you respond to a hard day is yours. but another person's talent, their luck, their timing, the family they were born into, the head start they got. None of that is yours. It was never on your side of the line. And here's the mechanism. Here's why this lands so hard once you actually feel it. Comparison takes your peace and ties it to a variable you don't control, your position relative to other people. You can do everything right and still lose because someone else did something you couldn't see and couldn't match. You've staked your calm on the one thing in the universe you have the least power over, other people's outcomes. And it gets worse because that variable never holds still. Even if you climb to the top of every ranking that's ever bothered you, there would still be someone above you. There always is. There's always a bigger house, a younger success, a better year. If your peace depends on being ahead, you have signed up for a war with no end and no winner. You will be defending that hill until the day you die, and you will never once get to rest on it. The Stoics found this out the hard way. The man who said it most clearly, Epictetus, was born a slave. He owned nothing. He couldn't even control whether he stayed in one piece. His own leg was broken in captivity, and the story goes that he simply told his captor it would break, and then, when it did, said calmly, "There, I told you." He had nothing the world counts, and he was freer in his mind than the emperors who later studied his words. Because he figured out the one thing you and I keep forgetting. The only territory that's actually yours is the inside of your own head. Everything else is on loan, or out of reach, or somebody else's entirely. That name isn't there to impress you. It's there to anchor what you already felt the second you heard it. So that's why you do that thing. The dip after scrolling? That's not weakness. That's you outsourcing your self-worth, handing the deed to it over to strangers, and then wondering why you never feel like you own your own life. The goalpost that keeps moving? You hit the thing you wanted, and for about a day it feels good. And then you look up and someone's a step ahead, and now that's the new bar. The comparison engine doesn't stop at enough. It can't. It's not built to. And the worst trick of all, you compare your insides to their outsides. You know every doubt you've ever had. You know the exact texture of your own fear. You know none of theirs. So of course they look steady. Of course they look like they've got it figured out. You're comparing a documentary you've watched 1,000 times to a trailer someone cut on purpose. And remember who's holding the projector. The feed in your hand isn't a window into how everyone's doing. It's a machine built to show you whatever keeps you watching. And nothing keeps you watching like the quiet ache of not being enough. You think you're seeing real life. You're seeing the few thousand moments out of billions that were engineered to make you stay and scroll and feel exactly the way you feel right now. The inadequacy isn't a glitch in the system, it's the product. Now, you're already arguing with me. Let me name it. You're thinking, but comparison pushes me to get better. If I stop, I'll just stand still. No, what pushes you to get better is a standard, a clear idea of who you want to become. Comparison isn't a standard. It's a moving target attached to someone else's life. You can chase it forever and never arrive because it isn't going anywhere you actually want to be. Admiration can teach you. I want to learn what they did, but comparison doesn't say learn. It says you're behind. Those are not the same engine, and you're thinking, isn't this just natural? Everybody does it. Sure, it's natural the way flinching is natural. The instinct fires whether you like it or not. But there's a difference between the flinch and the choice to keep staring at the thing that made you flinch. The first one is human. The second one is a habit. And habits, unlike instincts, can be put down. And maybe you're thinking the quietest one of all. But what if I really am behind? What if it's not in my head? What if they actually are ahead of me? Maybe they are. On that one thing, on that one timeline, maybe they're genuinely further along. And it changes nothing. Because ahead only means something inside a race you both agreed to run. You didn't agree to it. You were handed someone else's map and told it was yours. Their 25 doesn't have to look like your 25. Their finish line isn't on your road. The question was never whether you're behind them. The question is whether you're moving on the path that's actually yours. Picture a swimmer in a race. The fastest way to lose is to keep turning your head to see the lane beside you. Every glance slows you down. Every glance throws off your line. The swimmers who win aren't watching anyone. They're watching the black line at the bottom of their own lane, the one that only points forward. Your life works the same way. You can swim your race, or you can watch the lane next to you. You cannot do both. Every second your head is turned towards someone else's water is a second you're not moving through your own. So here's what this looks like for you. Today, not someday. The next time you set your phone down feeling that quiet weight in your chest, that's the moment. That's your entry point. Not to delete every app, not to swear off the internet, just to pause long enough to ask one honest question. Whose life did I just measure mine against? And do I even want what they have? Or do I just want to not feel behind? Most of the time, when you actually look, you'll find you don't want their life at all. You wanted the feeling you imagined came with it, and that feeling was never for sale in someone else's timeline. And then there's a second move, quieter than the first. Once you've caught yourself measuring, turn your attention to one thing that's already yours. Not a fake gratitude exercise. Not count your blessings on a fridge magnet. Just one real thing you have right now that, a few years ago, you were quietly hoping for. You almost certainly have at least one. The Stoics were obsessed with this. Not because it's nice, but because it's accurate. You've been trained to see only the gap between you and the people ahead. You've been blind to the distance between you and the version of yourself who didn't have any of this yet. You don't have to announce any of it. You don't have to fix your whole relationship with comparison today. You just have to catch it once, name it once, and answer the version of you that's already further than you give it credit for. Sit with that. Let me tell you about a guy. Call him whatever you want. It was a 10-year reunion. He almost didn't go. He stood in his bedroom for 20 minutes trying on shirts, and every shirt was really the same question. Will this be enough? He went anyway, and within 20 minutes of walking in, he had the whole room ranked without meaning to. It happened automatically, the way it always does. That one bought a house on the water. That one started a company. That one looked exactly the same as senior year, and somehow that felt unfair too. He stood there with a drink he wasn't drinking, doing math on his own life in real time and losing every equation. He found himself talking to an old friend, someone he genuinely liked back when none of this mattered. And the whole time the friend was talking, he wasn't listening. He was scanning, measuring the friend's watch, the friend's posture, the friend's easy laugh, building the case against himself. And then the friend said something offhand, said, "Man, I always thought you had it figured out. You were the one who seemed like you knew where you were going." And he just stood there, because the friend he'd spent 10 minutes losing to had spent those same 10 minutes losing to him. Two people in a room, each convinced the other one had won. Each one measuring against a person who, it turned out, was measuring right back. Both of them missing the actual conversation. Both of them missing the night. He didn't fix anything that evening. There was no music swell, no clean turnaround. He drove home with most of his habits intact. But somewhere on that drive, he caught it. The thing he'd never seen before. That the whole scoreboard he'd been carrying his entire adult life, the one he checked 100 times a day, was something he had built and carried and could, in theory, set down. That's the thing about what's yours and what isn't. The scoreboard was never out there in the world. It was the one thing in the whole room that had actually been his all along. So here's the question I'll leave you with. What's one thing you've been measuring your life against A number, a milestone, a person that, if you're honest, you never actually wanted in the first place? You just didn't want to feel behind. Think about that for a second, then drop it in the comments. One real sentence, the true one, not the one that sounds good. And if this hit different, you know where the subscribe button is. You don't need to win a race nobody else knows you're running. You just need to stop turning your head. That's what'll let you sleep tonight.